A millionaire finds twin girls abandoned at the door of his mansion. As he takes them into his arms, an unexpected tragedy unfolds. The sun was setting over Silicon Valley, casting its orange glow on the sleek glass buildings that defined the skyline of the Bay Area. Among the rolling hills of this tech haven stood a grand mansion, home to Gregory, a successful AI entrepreneur whose life was on the verge of an unexpected twist. The ocean breeze brushed against the windows as he drove home, drained after a marathon of meetings with global investors. His mind drifted between programming algorithms and market strategies as the California sunset painted the horizon in shades of gold and purple. Pulling his Tesla into the garage, he felt his shoulders relax instantly. The familiar jasmine scent from the garden welcomed him, a reminder of why he had chosen this serene spot to build a life with Melanie. "I'm home," he called out as he stepped inside, hearing the soft sound of running water from the shower. His footsteps echoed against the Italian marble floors as he headed toward his private office. The last rays of sunlight poured through the massive windows, illuminating walls adorned with accolades and photographs that chronicled his rise in the tech world. Amid scattered documents and contracts on his mahogany desk, his eyes landed on something unusual, a pink folder peeking out from the bottom drawer. Curiosity, his old companion in countless breakthroughs, compelled him to take a closer look. His fingers trembled slightly as he pulled out the medical papers hidden within. Each word he read hit him like a blow. Patient, Melanie, diagnosis, infertility, date, 5 years ago. The world seemed to freeze as he absorbed the revelation. Memories came flooding back like an unstoppable tide. Conversations about starting a family, plans for a nursery, dreams of a future filled with the laughter of children. All of it had been an intricate illusion, a fantasy built on a deeply guarded secret. In the stillness of his office, the quiet hum of the air conditioner seemed to amplify the crushing weight of this discovery. The photos on the walls, once a source of pride, now seemed to mock him, taunting his brilliance, his blind trust in a marriage built on deception. The sound of approaching footsteps jolted him back to reality. Quickly, he slid the documents back into the drawer, masking his expression as his mind raced to process the truth. "Gregory, everything okay, love?" Melanie's voice floated down the hallway. "Yeah, just going over some contracts," he replied, surprised at the calm in his own voice. He watched her step into the room, wrapped in her favorite silk robe, damp hair framing her face. How many other secrets hid behind that serene smile? The next few hours passed like a well-rehearsed play, with him playing the role of the carefree husband. They shared dinner, exchanged stories about their day. But every word, every gesture, felt shadowed by the weight of his discovery. Later, in the dim light of their bedroom, as Melanie slept peacefully beside him, Gregory lay awake, his mind churning with unanswerable questions. The blank ceiling became a canvas for his thoughts, projecting countless scenarios and imagined confrontations. "Why didn't you tell me?" he rehearsed silently, cycling through 1,000 ways to begin the conversation. The quiet of the night only amplified the sound of his wounded heart, while the Silicon Valley stars twinkled indifferently above his pain. The days that followed turned into a test of willpower. Every time Melanie mentioned their future, "when we have kids," it felt like an invisible dagger twisting deeper into his chest. Nights became an endless torment, insomnia his constant companion as his mind spun with questions. Why did she marry me? Was it for my money? My status? "You seem different," Melanie remarked one morning, her voice tinged with concern. "Is something bothering you?" Gregory muttered something about work stress, knowing every word only pushed him further from the truth, further from the inevitable confrontation. The walls of his mansion, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison, closing in with the weight of secrets and lies. Every corner of the house now seemed to hold memories of empty promises, of plans that would never come to life. The gardens, which Melanie had designed with the hope of future children's laughter, felt like a silent monument to disappointment. The imagined sounds of kids playing had turned into echoes of a dream long gone. Doubt began to seep into every corner of Gregory's marriage, spreading like ink on a blank sheet of paper. Moments of happiness they once shared now seemed tainted, every joyful memory overshadowed by suspicion. Morning in Silicon Valley arrived shrouded in a thick fog, mirroring the haze clouding Gregory's thoughts. Sitting in his private office, he stared out at the city through floor-to-ceiling windows, holding a mug of coffee that had gone cold, untouched. Days had become a constant performance. "Sir, Caleb is here as you requested." His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Straightening his posture, Gregory braced himself for a conversation he never imagined having. Caleb, his head of security for over a decade, entered with steady steps and a calm demeanor. "Caleb, I need your absolute discretion on a personal matter," Gregory began, carefully weighing each word. The seasoned security expert nodded, his professional seriousness unwavering. "I need you to follow Melanie. Document everything, every move, every meeting." Raindrops began tapping gently against the windows as Caleb listened to the detailed instructions. Years of experience in corporate surveillance were now being channeled into a far more personal mission. "Understood, sir. I'll be entirely discreet," Caleb replied firmly. In the days that followed, Gregory buried himself in work, hoping to distract his mind. Investor meetings and new project presentations became his sanctuary, shielding him from the storm of thoughts swirling inside. "Are you sure you're okay?" Melanie would ask each night, her voice tinged with concern. "Just work stress," he'd reply automatically, each lie pushing him further from the man he used to be. Their conversations became quiet, filled with unspoken words and growing distance. Caleb's initial reports revealed nothing out of the ordinary: grocery runs, spa visits, lunches with friends. But amidst the routine, a pattern began to emerge. Melanie was regularly visiting a private club in the mornings. "Sir, there's something you should know," Caleb reported one rainy afternoon. "Mrs. Melanie isn't just visiting the club. She's meeting someone there regularly." The words hit Gregory like a blow, confirming his worst fears. The elegant sports club, where they'd celebrated so many milestones together, had become the backdrop for another betrayal. Melanie's tennis lessons, an activity she had never once mentioned, now became the center of Gregory's growing suspicions. The glass walls of his office mirrored his fractured reflection as he processed the details. "How long?" he asked, his voice tight. Caleb checked his notes. "She's been going regularly, 3 times a week, always at the same time." Anger and pain churned within him, a storm he couldn't control. The lies were piling up: the hidden infertility, the secret tennis sessions, the fake smiles masking the growing cracks in their life. Every new discovery was another brick in the wall rising between them. The club, with its pristine tennis courts and manicured gardens, became Gregory's new fixation. From the safety of his car, he watched the main entrance, imagining the secrets those elegant walls concealed. "I need solid proof," he instructed Caleb one morning. "Photos, videos, anything that shows what's really happening after these so-called lessons." His head of security nodded, understanding both the gravity of the situation and the importance of his task. The nights grew longer, haunted by nightmares where shadows of secrets and lies chased him relentlessly. Insomnia became his constant companion as unanswered questions spun in his mind like a carousel. Alone in his office, he combed through invoices from the club, records of tennis lessons, searching for patterns, connections, anything that could expose the full truth. Each document felt like another piece in a puzzle he had no choice but to complete. The mansion, once a beacon of his success and happiness, now felt like a gilded cage, every corner holding bitter memories. The laughter they'd shared, the plans they'd made, it all seemed like an elaborate illusion now. Even the household staff noticed the growing tension, the awkward silences at meals, the distant stares of their once confident boss. Margaret, the housekeeper, watched with concern as the marriage she had admired slowly unraveled before her eyes. Melanie's phone calls, once a background noise Gregory barely noticed, now became a source of scrutiny. Every text message, every sudden outing, every casual excuse felt like potential evidence of betrayal. Trust, once rock solid, was now a fragile thread, impossible to rebuild. The glass walls of Gregory's tech empire still reflected an image of success and power to the world outside. But within, he felt everything collapsing around him. The truth, one he had been desperately chasing, was about to come to light, and nothing would ever be the same. It was a crisp, clear morning in Silicon Valley when Gregory decided to visit the club himself. The Mediterranean-style building loomed before him, its white columns guarding the secrets he was determined to uncover. The scent of pine from the surrounding gardens contrasted sharply with the bitterness festering inside him. Sitting in his black Mercedes, he watched the club's main entrance with an intensity that bordered on clinical. Members came and went, some carrying tennis rackets, others in workout gear. At exactly 10:30 a.m., Melanie appeared, dressed in an athletic outfit he'd never seen her wear at home. His heart sank when he spotted the tennis instructor greeting her at the entrance. The man, athletic and in his early 30s, had a smile that seemed far too familiar for professionalism. The way Melanie responded, her eyes lighting up in a way Gregory hadn't seen in years, confirmed his worst fears. His fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly as he watched the scene unfold. The connection between them was undeniable. The shared laughter, casual touches, lingering glances. Each gesture stabbed at him, solidifying the realization that his marriage had been built on an elaborate lie. Picking up his phone, Gregory spoke in a controlled tone. "I need you to record everything, every interaction, every move after the lessons." On the other end, Caleb understood the gravity of the situation and confirmed the surveillance operation would escalate. The days that followed became an agonizing blur. Each morning, Gregory received detailed reports from Caleb. Melanie's tennis lessons, her casual coffee meetups at the club, and conversations that lingered far longer than they should. The evidence began piling up. Discrete photos, videos taken from a distance, logs of arrivals and departures. Every new detail felt like another brick in the growing wall between him and the woman who had once vowed to love him until death. The final blow came on a rainy afternoon. Caleb sent a video showing Melanie and her instructor leaving the club together and heading to a nearby hotel. The footage was unmistakable. They entered as a pair and emerged hours later, their guilty expressions impossible to miss. Alone in his office, Gregory replayed the video over and over, each loop stoking the cold fury rising within him. The lies, the betrayal, everything crystallized in those captured moments, leaving him with a rage that felt as unyielding as stone. Their marriage had been a sham from the very beginning. Nights turned into endless torment for Gregory. While Melanie slept peacefully beside him, he lay awake, meticulously planning how to reveal the truth. Her birthday was approaching, a celebration she had eagerly organized, blissfully unaware that it would serve as the stage for her public humiliation. Preparations for the party moved forward as Melanie immersed herself in the details: flowers, catering, music. Every decision she made with such excitement only fueled the disdain building in Gregory's heart. The household staff couldn't help but notice the rising tension. Margaret, the housekeeper, watched with unease as her once warm boss grew increasingly distant and cold. The forced smiles during rehearsed moments, the shallow conversations, everything signaled that something was about to erupt. Secretly, Gregory was crafting his own surprise for the event. The evidence had been painstakingly edited. The hotel video, photos of her clandestine meetings, all arranged in a presentation that would dismantle the happy facade Melanie had constructed. Guests eagerly RSVP'd, completely unaware of the spectacle that was about to unfold. Silicon Valley executives, business partners, close friends, everyone would bear witness as the truth came crashing down. On the eve of the party, Gregory stayed in his office late into the night, going over every detail of his plan. The things she loved most, the paths they used to stroll together, everything would now serve as the backdrop for her ultimate disgrace. The final hours before dawn were spent rehearsing each moment in his mind. Revenge, cold and calculated, would be his answer to years of deceit and lies. The empire he had built would now witness its queen fall from her golden pedestal. The mansion gleamed under the party lights, transformed into a stage of elegance and sophistication. The gardens were adorned with thousands of tiny, twinkling lights, like fallen stars, creating a magical ambience that starkly contrasted with Gregory's dark thoughts. Guests began arriving in a parade of luxury cars, filling the air with laughter, animated conversations, and the clinking of champagne glasses. Melanie, stunning in a red dress that perfectly complemented her figure, greeted each guest with a smile that, to Gregory, now felt like a mask. "Happy birthday, darling," the guests exclaimed one after another, as she graciously thanked them with the effortless charm she was known for. The tennis instructor wasn't among the attendees, but his unseen presence lingered in every corner of the party for Gregory. The orchestra played soft jazz melodies, weaving a sophisticated atmosphere throughout the mansion's grand halls. Servers moved seamlessly between groups of guests, carrying trays of gourmet hors d'oeuvres and French champagne, oblivious to the drama brewing beneath the polished surface. Margaret, the housekeeper, watched her boss with concern as he stood unusually quiet in a corner, sipping whiskey. His eyes never left Melanie, tracking her every move like a predator observing its prey before striking. Silicon Valley executives chatted about the latest tech trends, while their wives exchanged stories of exotic vacations and exclusive social events. The crème de la crème of California's elite had gathered to celebrate, unaware they were about to witness a very different kind of spectacle. As the night wore on, the tension within Gregory built steadily. Every laugh from Melanie, every act of false humility, every moment of feigned happiness fed his resolve. The moment of reckoning was inevitable. Caleb, stationed discreetly near the AV system, waited for Gregory's signal. The video was ready, the evidence carefully prepared. All that remained was the right moment to shatter the flawless social facade Melanie had crafted. "Dear friends," Gregory's voice rang out over the speakers, cutting through the music and drawing the room's attention. A tense silence settled over the room as Gregory stepped onto the makeshift stage. Melanie smiled, unaware of the storm about to hit. "On this special day," he began, his voice steady but laced with a chilling edge that made some guests shift uncomfortably in their seats, "I want to share a very special video with all of you." The large screen behind him flickered to life. The footage began to play. Melanie walking into the hotel with her tennis instructor, their secret meetings, their intimate glances. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Faces around the room displayed a mix of shock, second-hand embarrassment, and morbid curiosity. Melanie, frozen in the middle of the room, watched as her carefully constructed world crumbled in mere seconds. The color drained from her once radiant face. The proof of her infidelity played out before her closest friends and associates, obliterating the reputation she had spent years building. "This is my birthday gift to you," Gregory said with a cold smile. "The truth, something that seems to have been in short supply in our marriage." His words cut through the air like knives, slicing into the stunned silence that enveloped the party. Guests began to murmur, some slipping toward the exits, while others stayed rooted in place, unable to look away from the unfolding spectacle. Women who had been whispering secrets with Melanie moments earlier now avoided her, as if betrayal were contagious. "Gregory, please." Melanie's voice cracked as she tried to approach him, but he raised a hand, stopping her in her tracks. His stare said more than words ever could. There was no forgiveness left to give. "The divorce papers will arrive tomorrow," he announced firmly. "I suggest you find a good lawyer." With those final words, he turned and walked toward the door, leaving behind a trail of murmurs, tears, and ruined reputations. The party unraveled quickly, the guests scattering like rats from a sinking ship. Melanie was left standing alone in the middle of the room, surrounded by the remnants of what was supposed to have been her grand celebration. Half-empty glasses, abandoned plates, and the shattered fragments of her perfect life. The household staff began to clean quietly, avoiding eye contact with their disgraced employer. From a corner, Margaret watched with tears in her eyes, a silent witness to the end of an era in the mansion. Outside, the garden lights continued to twinkle indifferently as the Silicon Valley night wrapped the estate in shadows. The dream of a perfect life had vanished, leaving only the bitter taste of exposed lies and the haunting echo of betrayal. In a modest apartment on the other side of Silicon Valley, Vanessa stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, her trembling hands brushing over the small lump in her chest she had discovered days earlier. The doctor's words echoed endlessly in her mind. Breast cancer, early stage. The diagnosis had arrived at the most unexpected moment of her life. She was pregnant with twin girls. The doctors had laid out her options, all of them devastating. Immediate treatment could save her life, but would endanger her unborn babies. Waiting meant giving her daughters a chance, but risking her own survival. The walls of the tiny apartment seemed to close in around her as she weighed the impossible decision before her. Medical bills piled up on the kitchen table, a stark reminder of her mounting struggles. The twins' father had vanished as soon as he learned of the pregnancy, choosing to return to his former partner rather than face responsibility. "My babies are all I have left," she whispered into the stillness of her room, her hand gently caressing her growing belly. The choice had been clear from the start. She would delay treatment until after their birth, giving her daughters the chance to live, even if it meant risking her own life. Her days revolved around exhausting hospital visits, where doctors closely monitored both the twins' growth and the progression of her cancer. Their increasingly worried expressions made it clear that time was running out, a race against an invisible enemy. On sleepless nights, Vanessa wrote letters to her unborn daughters, pouring onto the pages all her dreams and hopes for them. "My little warriors," she called them, drawing strength from their existence to keep fighting the disease threatening to consume her. Neighbors in her building, aware of her situation, did what they could to help. A kind, elderly woman brought her homemade soups. A young mother lent her books about pregnancy, and the doorman always had a kind word for her. Yet loneliness and fear were her constant companions in the long, quiet hours of the night. As her pregnancy progressed, so did the cancer, advancing quietly alongside the lives growing within her. Each day became a bittersweet battle, a mix of joy as she felt her babies move and dread at the thought of not being there to watch them grow. The doctors pressed her on the urgency of starting treatment, but Vanessa stood resolute in her choice. Her childhood best friend, Rebecca, became her anchor during these harrowing times. A college student with limited resources, Rebecca did everything she could, accompanying Vanessa to medical appointments, helping with groceries, and most importantly, being there to listen when despair crept in. As the months passed and the due date approached, Vanessa did her best to prepare. She gathered a small layette for her babies, organized vital documents, and, heartbreakingly, crafted a plan for their future in case she wouldn't recover. The maternity ward bore witness to the arrival of her twin girls, two perfectly healthy little miracles born into a world filled with both joy and uncertainty. Vanessa barely had the strength to hold them, but the love she felt in those moments eclipsed any physical pain. The days following their birth were a bittersweet mix of happiness and fear. While her daughters thrived, growing stronger and more beautiful, Vanessa's health rapidly declined. Freed from the constraints of pregnancy, the cancer advanced at an alarming pace. One particularly difficult night, she called Rebecca. "I need you to promise me something," she said through tears. "My girls will need a home, someone to care for them, and give them the love I won't be able to." Rebecca, her heart breaking, listened to her friend's desperate plea. Their conversation stretched into the early hours of the morning. They discussed the nearby orphanage, the risks, and the limited options. Though unsure of her ability to directly help, Rebecca promised to do everything she could to ensure the twins would have a safe and loving future. Vanessa spent every waking moment with her daughters, memorizing every detail of their faces, every sound they made, every tiny movement. She knew her time with them was fleeting, and each second felt like a precious gift. Meanwhile, the disease continued its relentless progression, draining her strength day by day. The doctors insisted she begin treatment immediately, but the costs were staggering, and her financial reserves were exhausted after the expenses of her pregnancy and delivery. In her journal, Vanessa wrote, "My sweet angels, forgive me for not being stronger, for not staying longer. Every choice I made was for you, to give you a chance to live and grow." One quiet morning, as she watched her babies sleeping peacefully, Vanessa made her final decision. She called Rebecca and handed her a notebook filled with important addresses and contacts, including the exact location of a mansion she had noticed during her walks. "I trust you," Vanessa whispered, her final words before Rebecca departed with the twins. The apartment fell silent, the empty cribs standing as stark reminders of a mother's ultimate sacrifice to give her daughters a chance at a better life. Exhausted, Vanessa closed her eyes and prayed that her little girls would find the love and home they deserved. The morning in Silicon Valley was unusually crisp as Rebecca, carrying the twins in her arms, stood on the sidewalk, staring up at the imposing mansion. The modern design, with its sleek lines and vast glass windows, shimmered in the sunlight like a beacon of hope. The twins slept peacefully, blissfully unaware of the turmoil unfolding around them. Rebecca gazed at them with a mixture of tenderness and sorrow, thinking of Vanessa and the heartbreaking choice they had made. The taxi that brought them slowly disappeared down the street, leaving her alone at the gate of an uncertain future. With shaky steps, she approached the main entrance. The meticulously maintained garden and the marble fountain by the door spoke of wealth and stability, the very things she wanted for the girls. Her eyes scanned the house, searching for signs of life inside. The doorbell seemed to mock her silence when she hesitated to press it. As the minutes ticked by, her anxiety grew. The twins stirred in her arms, sensing the tension of the moment. Gently rocking them, Rebecca whispered soothing words, trying to calm their restlessness. Through one of the grand windows, she noticed movement inside. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized Gregory, the millionaire she had heard so much about. Known for his generosity and success, Gregory represented her hope of finding the perfect home for the girls. But before she could call out, he disappeared into the depths of the mansion. Rebecca felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her as she deliberated her next move. The twins needed a safe home, and time was slipping away. The decision came to her suddenly, like a flash of lightning. She would leave the babies at the door, where Gregory would have no choice but to notice them. With trembling hands, she scribbled a quick note. "I can't care for them right now. I know they will have a better life with you." Placing the note securely with the twins, Rebecca took a deep breath, kissed their foreheads, and left them at the entrance before stepping back, tears streaming down her face. The words felt inadequate to convey the weight of what she was about to do. As Gregory approached the entrance once again, Rebecca gently placed the twins on the porch, ensuring they were comfortable and safe. Her heart pounded as she stepped back, keeping a cautious distance, but remaining visible. The sound of the door opening seemed to freeze time. Gregory appeared, his imposing figure softened by the shock of seeing the babies. His gaze shifted from the twins to Rebecca, who stood motionless in the distance, too afraid to step closer. "Please take them," Rebecca shouted, her voice cracking with emotion. The words had barely escaped her lips when she stepped back, unaware of the speeding car approaching behind her. The impact was immediate, brutal, and final. Chaos erupted in an instant. Gregory, holding the twins, stood frozen in horror as Rebecca's life slipped away before his eyes. Neighbors began to emerge from their homes, drawn by the commotion of the accident. In the distance, the wail of emergency sirens grew louder. Caleb, Gregory's head of security, came running after hearing the uproar. He arrived to a surreal scene, his employer cradling 2 infants, while first responders tended to the lifeless body of a young woman in the street. The tragedy had unfolded in mere moments. Miraculously, the twins remained calm in Gregory's arms, their tiny faces turned up to him with an unshakable trust that pierced something deep within him, something he thought he had lost after Melanie's betrayal. The police arrived to take statements, but no one could fully explain what had happened. Rebecca's identity remained a mystery, her only legacy the 2 babies and a hastily written note. Gregory felt as though fate had intervened in a way that defied explanation. Margaret, the housekeeper, was called immediately. The mansion, once cloaked in sorrow after Melanie's departure, suddenly came alive with activity as preparations were made for the unexpected arrivals. Caleb was sent out to buy diapers, formula, and everything else necessary to care for the babies. As night fell over Silicon Valley, Gregory sat in his library, watching the twins sleep in a makeshift bassinet. The day's tragedy stood in stark contrast to the serenity of the 2 little girls, filling the room with an odd sense of purpose amid the chaos. Attorneys were contacted to begin the emergency adoption process, marking the start of an unanticipated new chapter. Rebecca's death left behind countless unanswered questions, but Gregory was resolute in his commitment to protect the little girls fate had placed in his care. Deep down, he felt this marked the start of a new chapter in his life. As the stars glimmered above the mansion, Gregory made a silent vow to the twins. He would give them all the love and protection they needed, embracing the role destiny had chosen for him. Though the day had been filled with tragedy, it had also brought an unexpected gift, the chance to create the family he had always longed for. The documents left with the babies offered little information, but Gregory decided to honor the apparent wish for anonymity from whoever had entrusted them to him. For now, his focus was on ensuring the twins had everything they needed to thrive in their new home. At dawn, Gregory sat in his office, reviewing resumes for nannies, while the twins slept peacefully in a bassinet beside his desk. The mansion, which had felt like a mausoleum of bitter memories just days before, now pulsed with fresh energy, filled with hope and new possibilities. Sarah, his efficient secretary, had already arranged interviews with top childcare agencies in the area. "Sir," she announced as she entered with a cup of coffee, Miss Amanda is here for her interview. She comes with excellent references and has experience with twins." Her eyes shifted toward the babies, softening with a maternal smile. The first week with the twins completely transformed the mansion's routine. Margaret, the housekeeper, worked closely with Amanda to coordinate feeding and sleeping schedules, while Caleb made certain the property's security was airtight. The once silent halls now echoed with the soft sounds of baby giggles and the hum of activity. Gregory decided to name the girls Ori and Savannah, choosing names that felt strong yet gentle. He watched in awe as, despite their identical appearances, their unique personalities began to emerge. Ori was calm and observant, while Savannah was more adventurous and cheerful. The sleepless nights Gregory once spent working were now replaced with moments of sweet exhaustion. He often found himself in the twins' room, watching them sleep, marveling at how these tiny beings had filled the void in his heart. Amanda proved to be a blessing for the family. Her expertise and dedication allowed Gregory to manage his business responsibilities, knowing the twins were in the best possible care. She quickly became an essential part of the household's new rhythm, seamlessly integrating into their evolving family dynamic. The mansion's gardens, once mere ornamental landscapes, gradually transformed into a space designed with the twins' future in mind. Gregory personally oversaw the installation of swings and play areas, envisioning years ahead filled with laughter and adventure. Business meetings in his office now often included the gentle sounds of the twins playing in a nearby playpen. His business partners couldn't help but notice the change in him. A new light in his eyes, a softer tone in his voice when he spoke of his daughters, and a renewed sense of purpose guiding every decision. Margaret watched with joy as her employer evolved day by day. The man who had once been hardened and bitter from Melanie's betrayal was now a devoted and loving father. The girls had done what seemed impossible, healed a broken heart. Their first smiles, their early babbling attempts at words, each milestone was celebrated as a family triumph. Gregory captured every precious moment on his iPhone, creating a growing digital archive of memories. The technology that had once been his professional passion now served to document the wonder of fatherhood. The household staff noticed how their boss, once known for his relentless focus on business, now made time to sit on the floor and play with his daughters. Designer suits were forgotten in favor of moments filled with pure parental joy. Holidays took on an entirely new meaning. The twins' first Christmas turned the mansion into a winter wonderland, with sparkling lights and festive decorations reflecting the happiness they had brought into everyone's lives. Amanda developed a schedule of routines that kept the girls both happy and engaged. Their days became filled with educational activities, interactive play, and supervised exploration. Gregory was in awe of how every day seemed to bring new discoveries. Neighbors in Silicon Valley began noticing changes around the property. The mansion, once a symbol of corporate success, became known for the cheerful giggles of children floating through its walls and the occasional birthday balloons adorning its gates. Late nights of work were replaced with bedtime story sessions. Gregory discovered that his voice, once used for corporate presentations, was perfectly suited to narrating tales of princesses and dragons that captivated his daughters' imaginations. The technology that had built his empire now served to create a smart and secure home for the twins. Motion sensors, state-of-the-art monitors, and cutting-edge security systems worked together to provide a safe environment where the girls could grow without worry. Time seemed to pass in the blink of an eye as the twins grew older. Each day brought fresh joys, new challenges, and countless reasons for Gregory to feel grateful that fate had brought them into his life. The mansion, once a testament to his professional achievements, had transformed into a true family home. Weekends were now filled with family activities, picnics on the lawn, finger painting sessions that inevitably ended with laughter and paint everywhere. Afternoons of music and spontaneous dancing in the grand living room became a routine. The once pristine walls, adorned with abstract art and corporate awards, were now covered with crayon drawings, family photos, and souvenirs from cherished moments. Every corner of the mansion told the story of a family that had discovered happiness in the most unexpected way. The garden basked in the warm afternoon sun as Gregory hosted the twins' second birthday party. Colorful balloons swayed in the breeze and the sound of children's laughter filled the air. From a distance, a solitary figure watched the celebration, tears welling in her eyes, Vanessa, the twins' biological mother. Her battle with cancer had been grueling, but ultimately successful. Experimental treatments, combined with her indomitable will to survive, had achieved what many thought impossible. Now recovered and stronger than ever, she had followed the address Rebecca had scribbled in her notebook before her tragic death. Gregory noticed the woman standing near the garden gate as he oversaw the children's games. Something about the way she looked at the twins stirred a deep intuition in him. With a mix of caution and resolve, he approached her. She stood gripping the iron bars as though steadying herself. "They're beautiful," Vanessa whispered, as Gregory came close enough to hear. Her voice trembled, heavy with years of pain and hope. "They've grown so much." Tears spilled down her cheeks unchecked. Gregory felt his heart stop for a moment. The realization didn't crash like a wave, but settled over him like a quiet certainty. This was the biological mother of his daughters, the woman who had brought them into the world. A flood of questions filled Gregory's mind, but the first one that escaped his lips was simple. "Do you want to meet them?" From the terrace, Margaret watched the scene unfold, her heart torn between concern for her boss and empathy for the stranger. The twins remained blissfully unaware of the tension, chasing soap bubbles that floated gently in the golden afternoon light. Gregory led Vanessa to his study, away from prying eyes, where she shared her story. She spoke of her cancer diagnosis during pregnancy, her choice to delay treatment to give her daughters a chance at life, and the desperation that led her to entrust Rebecca with finding them a safe home. Every word Vanessa said carried an undeniable truth. The details fit perfectly. The dates, the events, even the small familiar gestures of the twins that Gregory now recognized as part of their biological heritage. Life had woven an intricate web connecting them all. "I'm not here to take them from you," Vanessa clarified, her voice trembling. "I only want to be part of their lives, if you'll allow it. To see them grow, even from a distance." Her humility and sincerity struck a chord in Gregory's heart, reminding him of his own longing for family. He called for Amanda, the nanny, to bring the twins to the study. The moment Sophia and Savannah burst into the room, giggling and running, would remain etched in the memories of everyone present. Vanessa held her breath, awestruck by the vibrancy and joy radiating from her daughters. The girls, naturally curious, approached the stranger without hesitation. Something intangible, perhaps written in their DNA, a silent connection between mother and child, drew them toward her. Vanessa knelt to their level, letting them study her with their bright, inquisitive eyes. After a long pause, Vanessa broke the silence. "I need a job," she said, her voice steady. "I have no one but them. And while I'm grateful for all you've done, I want to contribute in some way." Her dignity and desire for independence impressed Gregory. The decision to invite her to live in the mansion wasn't easy, but he recognized the chance to give the twins something priceless: the love of their biological mother. Margaret was promptly informed of the changes, and with her usual efficiency, she began preparing a room for the new resident. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Vanessa settled naturally into life at the mansion, finding her place within the evolving family dynamic. Her presence brought a new depth of love and understanding into the twins' lives. Gregory watched in awe As Vanessa bonded with the girls, seeing in her the same unconditional love he felt for them. The shared moments in the garden, the everyday routines, and the family traditions all took on a richer meaning. Slowly, an unexpected love began to grow between Gregory and Vanessa. It wasn't a dramatic, cinematic romance, but something deeper, mature, grounded in the shared devotion to the twins and the mutual respect that had blossomed between them. One spring afternoon, as the twins played in the garden, Gregory knelt in front of Vanessa. The ring he held sparkled as brightly as the tears in both their eyes. His proposal was simple, but profoundly meaningful. "Let's build this family together." The wedding was intimate, held in the very garden where their story had begun. The twins, dressed in white, scattered rose petals as their parents exchanged vows of love and commitment. Margaret wept quietly from her seat in the front row. The mansion, once a place marked by sorrow and triumph, had finally transformed into the warm, welcoming home they had all dreamed of. The laughter of the twins blended with the conversations of their parents, creating a harmony of happiness that echoed through every corner of the estate. The story of Gregory, Vanessa, and the twins became a testament to the power of love and redemption. From the ashes of betrayal and illness had risen a family bound by ties stronger than blood, ties of true love and compassion. That tranquility was shattered one morning when Melanie unexpectedly returned to Silicon Valley. After years of absence, she reappeared, her former elegance replaced by a cold determination that sent chills through those who remembered her. Caleb immediately alerted Gregory about his ex-wife's presence in the city. Reports indicated that she had been asking questions about the twins, digging through government offices and contacting former staff from the mansion. The news of her return cast a shadow over the household. While Vanessa trusted in Gregory's love, she couldn't shake a pang of unease every time Melanie's name was mentioned. The twins, now 5 years old, picked up on the tension in the air. One afternoon, Margaret spotted Melanie lingering near the girls' school. She held legal documents in her hand and wore an expression of steely determination that deeply unsettled the housekeeper. Without hesitation, Margaret reported the encounter to Gregory, her concern for the family growing with every passing moment. Melanie's lawyers filed a shocking lawsuit, claiming that during her marriage to Gregory, they had initiated adoption proceedings, giving her a legal right to the twins. The news hit the peaceful family life like a bombshell. Further investigations uncovered a disturbing connection. Melanie's former tennis instructor was a cousin of Rebecca, Vanessa's late friend. This revelation raised unsettling questions about whether the twins' arrival in Gregory's life had truly been a coincidence. Vanessa drew on an inner strength she hadn't realized she possessed as she faced this new threat to her family. Her years of battling cancer had taught her resilience, and she now used that same determination to protect her daughters. The twins, meanwhile, began asking questions about the woman they occasionally saw near their school. Sophia, ever observant, noticed how the adults lowered their voices whenever certain topics came up. Savannah, more outspoken, directly asked why the lady with the blonde hair was always staring at them. Gregory threw himself into a thorough investigation, using every resource at his disposal to uncover the truth behind Melanie's claims. The adoption papers she presented seemed legitimate, but there were inconsistencies in the timeline. One night, as he combed through old emails, Gregory made a chilling discovery. Melanie had been in contact with an adoption agency months before their separation. However, she hadn't been looking to adopt, but had instead been selling information about wealthy couples seeking to adopt. The stress took a toll on Vanessa, whose nights became plagued by nightmares. In her dreams, she lost her daughters, the cancer returned, or Melanie succeeded in her schemes. Gregory often found her sitting in the twins' room late at night, watching over them as if afraid they might vanish. Caleb ramped up security around the mansion and the twins' school. Additional cameras were installed, and specialized personnel were hired to ensure the girls' safety during their daily routines. The tension reached its peak one stormy afternoon when Melanie showed up at the mansion, demanding to see Gregory. Her face bore the weight of years of bitterness and resentment, but beneath it all was something unexpected: desperation. For the first time, she appeared vulnerable. During the heated confrontation, Melanie revealed her true motives. She was bankrupt, abandoned by the tennis instructor who had left her for a younger woman. Her plan was to use the twins as leverage to extract money from Gregory. Listening from the next room, Vanessa felt a swirl of emotions, pity and fury intertwined. Melanie's words spoke of loneliness and emptiness, emotions Vanessa knew all too well from her own darkest days during her illness. Margaret watched it all unfold with a heavy heart, recalling the years when Melanie had been the lady of the house. The stark contrast between the poised, confident woman she once was and the desperate person she had become was heartbreaking. Gregory's lawyers presented undeniable evidence that dismantled Melanie's claims. The supposed adoption papers were proven to be forgeries, and her connection to the adoption agency implicated her in illegal activities. Melanie's final words before leaving the mansion were a mix of threat and plea. "I'm not finished with you." But her voice lacked the conviction to make her warning believable. It was the last roar of a wounded lion who knew she had lost. The storm dissipated as quickly as it had arrived. Melanie disappeared once more, this time under the weight of a restraining order barring her from coming near the family. Yet, the aftermath of her brief return lingered in the air for some time. Life at the mansion gradually returned to normal after her departure. The twins, now more aware of the world around them, had grown closer than ever. Sophia showed a natural talent for music, while Savannah developed a passion for science that reminded Gregory of his own childhood curiosity. The days were once again filled with laughter and discovery, although the shadows of the recent past lingered faintly in their memories. Determined to turn the negativity of recent events into something meaningful, Vanessa channeled her energy into a positive cause. Inspired by her own fight against cancer and the family drama they had endured, she founded a non-profit organization to support single mothers battling serious illnesses. The initiative quickly gained traction in Silicon Valley, with Gregory not only providing financial backing, but also contributing his technological expertise to develop a digital platform that connected families in need with vital resources and support. Margaret, who had witnessed every stage of the family's evolution, observed with pride how each challenge had strengthened their bonds. Mornings at the mansion now began with the sound of Sophia playing the piano, mingling with Savannah's experiments in her makeshift science lab. The housekeeper saw in these routines the promise of a bright future for the girls she had cared for since their unexpected arrival. Even Caleb, ever vigilant, had softened his typically stoic demeanor. The twins had adopted him as a protective uncle, and it wasn't uncommon to find him teaching them age-appropriate self-defense techniques or explaining basic safety concepts, always with a patient smile. His commitment went far beyond professional duty. Caleb had become an essential part of their unconventional family. One day, as Vanessa was sorting through old photographs, she came across a picture of Rebecca she had kept for years. Her friend's smile, frozen in time, reminded her of the ultimate sacrifice Rebecca had made to secure a better future for the twins. Determined to honor her memory, Vanessa established a college scholarship in Rebecca's name, dedicated to students who, like Rebecca, demonstrated exceptional selflessness and a commitment to helping others. Gregory watched with pride as Vanessa channeled her grief into meaningful action. The Rebecca Foundation quickly became a cornerstone of social support in Silicon Valley, attracting donations from tech entrepreneurs moved by the powerful story behind its creation. The legacy of the young woman who had given her life for the twins' future now multiplied, impacting hundreds of students. The twins grew up with a unique understanding of life's complexities. By age 7, Sophia was composing melodies that spoke of hope and renewal, while Savannah worked on science projects inspired by her mother's battle with cancer, focusing on innovative ways to find a cure. The mansion had become a haven for dreams, where even the smallest ideas were nurtured into something extraordinary. One crisp autumn afternoon, an unexpected letter arrived at the mansion. It was from Melanie, but instead of threats or demands, it contained a heartfelt apology. She wrote from a rehabilitation center, where she had finally found the peace and clarity to reflect on her past actions. The letter stirred mixed emotions in everyone, but especially in Gregory, who for the first time was able to see beyond the pain she had caused him. Later, Margaret found Vanessa in the kitchen, tears streaming down her face after reading Melanie's letter. These weren't tears of sadness or fear, but of understanding and forgiveness. "We've all made mistakes," Vanessa said softly. "What matters is that we learn from them." Margaret embraced the woman who had brought so much love and healing to the mansion, admiring her remarkable capacity to forgive. Sophia's music began gaining recognition beyond the mansion's walls. Her first public recital became a family affair, bringing together everyone, including the staff who had watched her grow. As her fingers danced across the keys, playing the opening notes of her original composition titled "Gift of Fate," there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Not to be outdone, Savannah showcased her first science project at her school's science fair. Her research on stem cells and tissue regeneration, though basic for her age, revealed an impressive grasp of the concepts tied to her mother's fight against cancer. Gregory and Vanessa watched with pride as their daughters turned their personal experiences into passions that could one day change the world. The foundation grew far beyond its initial vision. Vanessa expanded its reach, creating programs for psychological support for families in crisis, educational scholarships for children of sick mothers, and even a research center dedicated to cancer treatments. What began as personal tragedy had transformed into a beacon of hope for countless others. One day, Caleb, ever vigilant in protecting the family, noticed a familiar figure watching the mansion from afar. It was Melanie's former tennis instructor, but this time he came not with ill intent, but to confess his role in the failed scheme and to provide information that would finally close that painful chapter for good. The instructor's confession revealed a complex web of coincidences and choices that had ultimately led the twins to where they belonged. His connection to Rebecca had been genuine, but he had never fully understood his cousin's true plan to save the girls. This revelation brought an unexpected sense of peace to the family, reaffirming that even the darkest moments could lead to light. As the twins grew older, they began asking deeper questions about their origins and the story of their family. Vanessa and Gregory decided it was time to share the full truth, tailored to their daughters' young minds. One evening, gathered in the library, they recounted the tale of love, sacrifice, and redemption that had shaped their family. Margaret prepared hot chocolate as the family embraced this intimate moment together. The twins listened intently to the story of their mother's battle with cancer, Rebecca's ultimate sacrifice, and how love had prevailed over adversity. Their questions reflected a surprising maturity for their age, showing a deep understanding of the complexities of life. Melanie's story was also included, not as that of a villain, but as someone lost in her own pain. The girls displayed a level of empathy and forgiveness that moved their parents, proving they had inherited Vanessa's compassionate heart. The twins' 10th birthday became a joyous celebration, bringing together the community that had supported and watched them grow. The mansion's garden buzzed with music, laughter, and the presence of families who had been touched by the foundation's work. It was a living testament to the power of love to multiply and transform lives. From a quiet corner of the garden, Gregory watched his family, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. Melanie's betrayal, which had once seemed like the end of his world, turned out to be just the beginning of a far greater and more meaningful love story. Vanessa, now fully recovered and glowing with health, had become a respected figure in the community. Her work with the foundation inspired others to turn their struggles into opportunities to help those in need. The cancer that had once threatened to take everything from her had instead planted the seed of her greatest purpose. Caleb, who had stood by the family through their darkest and brightest moments, finally allowed himself to relax. The threats of the past had faded away, replaced by a deep sense of security and peace that radiated from the family's resilience. The mansion, once a place of betrayal and sorrow, had transformed into a sanctuary of healing and hope. Its walls no longer echoed with bitter secrets, but with the sounds of music, laughter, and meaningful conversations. Every corner of the home now told a story of redemption and love. One afternoon, as Sophia played the piano and Savannah passionately explained her latest science experiment, Vanessa and Gregory exchanged a look that carried all the love and gratitude they felt. Words weren't necessary. Their hearts spoke volumes. They had discovered the true meaning of family. The story of the twins of destiny, as they were affectionately called in Silicon Valley, became a legend of hope. It showed that true love could rise from the most unlikely circumstances, and that family was not defined by blood, but by the bonds of the heart. The stars shone brightly over the mansion as another day came to a close. In the quiet of the night, the twins' dreams intertwined with the melodies of the piano and the curiosity of scientific formulas, weaving a symphony of endless possibilities for the future. And so, a story that began with pain and betrayal transformed into a powerful testament to the healing power of unconditional love. The twins of destiny had found their home, bringing not only healing to their immediate family, but also to an entire community. The legacy of Rebecca, the forgiveness extended to Melanie, Vanessa's perseverance, and Gregory's unwavering love were woven into a beautiful tapestry of redemption and hope. The mansion in Silicon Valley became a beacon of light for all who believed in the transformative power of true love. The story of the twins of destiny teaches us that life rarely follows the paths we plan. Like Gregory, we may find ourselves in the midst of storms of betrayal and heartache, only to discover they were the prologue to a deeper, more meaningful happiness. The hardest trials often serve as doors to unexpected blessings. Vanessa's sacrifice, delaying her cancer treatment to give life to her daughters, reminds us that maternal love is a force that transcends even the instinct for survival. Her journey shows us that true strength isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Rebecca's tragedy demonstrates that acts of selfless love can ripple far beyond our immediate understanding. Her decision to leave the twins at Gregory's mansion, though it cost her life, built a bridge between two souls destined to find each other and heal together. Melanie's transformation from antagonist to someone seeking redemption reminds us that no one is entirely good or bad. Her actions, though painful, were born from deep wounds in need of healing. Her eventual remorse proves that forgiveness and change are possible, even for those burdened by bitterness. The twins, Sophia and Savannah, embody how difficult circumstances can become sources of inspiration. One found in music a way to express the beauty born of pain, while the other channeled her family's story into the pursuit of cures for diseases that threaten families like hers. The creation of the Rebecca Foundation illustrates how personal pain can evolve into meaningful social action. Vanessa and Gregory didn't settle for their own happiness. They chose to multiply it by helping others facing similar struggles. The role of the mansion's staff, especially Margaret and Caleb, reminds us that family is not solely defined by blood ties. Their unwavering loyalty and unconditional love show that true family is built through shared experiences and mutual support during life's most challenging moments. The mansion itself became a symbol of transformation. What once stood as a monument to material success evolved into a home where love, music, science, and hope flourished. It's a powerful reminder that physical spaces can be transformed when filled with genuine love and connection. The story as a whole highlights the power of forgiveness. From Vanessa forgiving those who had abandoned her daughters, to the family accepting Melanie's apologies, we see how forgiveness not only liberates the one being forgiven, but also heals the heart of the one who forgives. The material success Gregory achieved in Silicon Valley paled in comparison to the emotional wealth he found within his family. His journey reminds us that true success isn't measured by material accomplishments, but by the ability to love and be loved. The resilience shown by every character teaches us that our circumstances don't define our destiny, our responses to them do. Every challenge met with love and determination became a stepping stone toward a brighter future. Ultimately, this story reminds us that true love has the power to heal even the deepest wounds and create unexpected miracles. In a world that often feels cold and dark, love remains the most powerful force to transform lives and build a future filled with hope. If this film touches your heart, leave your mark with a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to explore more meaningful stories with us. Share your feelings with us and tell us your own stories. Every word you share is a building block that helps create our strong and enduring community. Together, we'll create a warm space where everyone can share and connect. Finally, don't miss the incredible stories coming your way soon. We're always here to bring you the best selections, full of deep values, yet entertaining. See you there.